As empires rose and fell, a new force began to shape North Africa, not through armies, but through belief. Christianity spread across the region, bringing unity but also division. During the later years of Roman rule, Christianity took root across North Africa. It spread through cities, communities, and institutions, becoming a powerful social and cultural force. Disagreements over doctrine and authority led to deep divisions within the Christian community. Different groups emerged, each claiming legitimacy. These were not just religious debates, they shaped power, identity, and control within society. Christianity in Africa developed its own character, rooted in local cultures and tradition. From Egypt to Ethiopia, distinct expressions of faith took shape, reflecting the diversity of the continent. But division weakened coercion. Religious disputes, combined with political pressures, left society fragmented. Unity, once strengthened by shared belief, became harder to sustain. This highlights a recurring theme in history. Ideas can unite people, but divisions over those same ideas can weaken institutions. Across Africa today, diversity remains a strength, but managing differences, religious, ethnic, or political, is key to stability and development. Because the real challenge is not difference, it is division.
My name is Becky Elijah. I'm from UBA, so keep watching SOUQ News.
Hello, my name is Emmanuel. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Esther Ashimi, keep watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Helen Otongwa. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Okoyemi Temiyemi. I am an entertainer. I am representing Egypt, as you can see. So keep watching SOUQ News.
Hi, my name is Nena Okavi. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Tom Aldo. Keep watching SOUQ News.
I'm Elizabeth from POS Services UBA. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Hi, my name is Kelechi Agu. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Once upon a time, the Sahara was not a desert. It was green, alive, thriving. Today, it stands as one of the harshest environments on Earth. What happened? And more importantly, what does Africa's past teach us about its future? Rising above Egypt's desert plain is the Gulf El Kabir Plateau, a vast, uninhabited wilderness. Yet hidden within its rocks are paintings of people swimming, hunting, and dancing. These are not myths, they are evidence of a different Africa, one that once had rivers, lakes, and abundant wildlife. Thousands of years ago, the Sahara was a fertile savanna. Elephants, giraffes, and buffaloes roamed freely. Humans lived, farmed, and thrived. But then something happened. Around 7,000 years ago, shifting climate patterns pushed rainfall southward. The land dried. Rivers disappeared. By 6,000 years ago, much of the Sahara had become uninhabitable. Communities were forced to migrate, many moving towards one lifeline, the Nile. Migration driven by climate transformation, and so began one of the most important patterns in African history: adaptation under pressure. The Nile Valley became a narrow but powerful economic corridor, supporting agriculture, population growth, and eventually one of the world's most earliest civilizations. This shift reveals a fundamental truth about Africa. Its fortunes have always been shaped by the environment, resources, and human response. Fast forward to today, Africa is once again facing environmental and economic pressure, climate change, urban migration, and resource competition. But history offers perspectives. Just like ancient communities moved towards opportunity, today youths are moving towards cities, technology, and new economic frontiers. The lesson is clear. Africa's story is not just one of challenge. It is a story of adaptation and reinvention. From climate shift to economic transition, the continent has always responded, not passively, but creatively. The question now is, will today's leaders and young innovators rise to the movement? Because if history tells us anything, it is that Africa's future will be shaped not just by what happens to it, but by how it responds. Take a look at this. This is the Sahara today, and here is the Nile corridor where populations converge. In a land surrounded by desert, a single river gave rise to power, wealth, and one of the earliest states in history. This is ancient Egypt, Africa's first great economic and political system. Ancient Egyptians called their land Kemet, the Black Land, a reference to the fertile soils of the Nile floods plain. Beyond it lay the Desert, the Red Land, the desert stretching east and west, and the Nile itself, they simply called it the river, a narrow strip of life in a vast, unforgiving landscape. To outsiders, Egypt's dependence on the Nile was unmistakable. The Greek historians Herodotus described this as the gift of the Nile. Without the river, there was no agriculture, no surplus, no state. At the center of the system was the ruler, the pharaoh, a term derived from pharaoh, meaning great house, referring to royal palace. This was not just leadership, it was structured authority tied to land, production, and control. One of the earliest organized systems of governance on the African continent. Even the name Egypt tells a story of interaction. Later, Arab rulers would call it Masra, a civilization shaped internally but named and reinterpreted by outsiders over time. What made Egypt powerful was not just the presence of the Nile, but the ability to organize around it. Seasonal floods meant predictable agriculture, food production, population stability. From this game structure, labor systems, and long-term planning, the lesson is not about the river. It is about control, coordination, and the use of resources. Across Africa today, resources are abundant, but outcomes depend on how they are managed. Because from the very beginning, Africa's story has never just been about what it has, but what it does with it. Here's the Nile corridor, the narrow stretch of fertile land surrounded by desert where this civilization took shape. For centuries, Europe searched for a powerful Christian king in Africa, a ruler of wealth, influence, and faith. They called him Prester John. The legend of Prester John spread across medieval Europe, describing a distant Christian kingdom filled with riches and power. Many believe this kingdom existed somewhere in Africa, particularly in the Ethiopian highlands. Driven by this belief, European powers began searching for this ally, sending envoys and explorers across unfamiliar territories. Their goal was not just discovery, but alliance, trade, and strategic advantage. But the reality was more complex. Ethiopia did exist as a Christian kingdom, but not in the form imagined by European legend. The gap between perception and reality shaped by early interactions. Even so, the idea of Prester John had real consequences. It influenced exploration, diplomacy, and early global connections, a myth that helped drive real-world decisions. This chapter reveals an important lesson. perception can be as powerful as reality in shaping economic and political action. Today, Africa still faces perception challenges. How it is seen globally can influence investment, partnership, and opportunity because in the global arena, what people believe often shapes what they do.
My name is Yinka Babalola.
My name is Ijoma Pelokoro.
My name is Joshua Hassan.
I am Rotarian Omosunde Lawson.
It's Ife Yunwarita Ejeze. My friends call me Ife.
My name is Rotarian Lola Dare.
I'm inviting you to keep watching SOUQ News. It's the right station to tune to.
I like SOUQ News. SOUQ News is good.
I want to charge you all to listen to SOUQ News, watch the news.
You can have unlimited news, first time.
Find SOUQ News. Be with SOUQ News. Never switch off. You are better for it. SOUQ News is the real thing.
Listen to their coverage and you'll be glad you did.
Turn to your YouTube, turn to your Instagram, turn to all your digital channels and look for SOUQ News.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Please, guys, keep watching
SOUQ News.
Nigeria's current inflation, which has driven up costs and caused economic shocks, is squeezing growth and profitability in event centers, forcing operators in the real key commercial real estate subsector to increase rents by over 100%. The rising cost of operations, driven by high energy, security, and logistics expenses, and by the workforce demand for improved wages, have led operators of event centers to increase prices in major cities across the country. While urban centers are witnessing a significant surge in the event management sector, driven by rapid urbanization and a cultural affinity for grand receptions and celebrations, operators are leveraging high demand, especially in strategic locations, by doubling prices. In this special report, Bayo Olaoye observes that Nigeria's event industry continues to thrive, driven by creativity and a high demand for parties covering birthdays, wedding ceremonies, burials, naming ceremonies, chieftaincy conferment, luncheons, graduation ceremonies, book launches, conferences, workshops, and colloquiums. In recent years, event center operations have become a major revenue stream, as property owners convert land assets into event venues in cities such as Abuja, Port Harcourt, Anambra, Ibadan, Akure, Kano, Asaba, and others. The demand for these facilities vary based on capacity, location, and available amenities. Findings by SOUQ News Television reveal that over the past 7 months, event hall rental costs have risen by more than 70% in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. A 30-capacity conference room, previously rented for 100,000 naira, now goes for between 150,000 naira and 200,000 naira. A 300-capacity hall, formerly priced at 200,000 naira, now costs about 400,000 naira, while a 500-capacity hall has increased from about 4 million naira to 5 million naira. Similarly, a 250-capacity hall, previously priced at 1.5 million naira, now goes for between 2 million naira and 2.5 million naira, depending on location and facilities. A 50-capacity hall that cost 150,000 naira now rents for about 250,000 naira, while a 100-capacity hall has risen from 250,000 naira to 300,000 naira. The industry is evolving, with operators introducing both micro halls and large capacity venues ranging from 30 to over 2,000 guests. These hall capacities emphasize quality finishing and design, constant power backed by a generator, and alternative power supply such as solar, good decor, good cooling, and noise absorbers. Some of the facilities come with exquisite exterior and interior spaces with over 500 parking spaces and a sitting hall capacity of over 2,000 guests. In some cases, the halls are equipped with state-of-the-art audiovisual systems, LED screens, stage lights, speakers, banquet tables, gold chairs, and more to make your occasion fascinating and memorable. The cultural penchant among Nigerians to party and mark milestone events such as birthdays, weddings, receptions, anniversaries, seminars, naming ceremonies, workshops, and others makes the demand for event centers a viable business in Nigeria's cities, as there would always be demand for such facilities. Beyond that, the commercial real estate business has over time contributed immensely to the country's gross domestic product growth, GDP, job creation, and infrastructure advancement in major cities. Valued at over $20 billion, event center operators support the creation of jobs, including event decorators, event planners, ushers, vendors, and security, and enhance the social fabric of society through its socio-cultural facets. Many of the operators treat the business as an investment and generate high returns due to the center's frequent short-term rental nature. In most urban centers, operators face a similar set of challenges, including high operational costs, regulatory interference, and inadequate infrastructure, especially in the area of sufficient parking spaces. In locations like Lagos and Abuja, there have been a series of government clampdowns on event centers for failing to comply with existing regulations and environmental standards, especially regarding noise pollution and lack of parking space. Developers of the facilities often fail to allocate sufficient space for cars, leading to traffic congestion and creating security risk around the construction site. This is a development that government regards as a grave violation of the guidelines under the Physical Planning Law. According to existing physical planning regulations, parking provision for commercial outlets and development shall be one car park for every 60 square meters of the total lettable floor area. Places of assembly, auditoriums, conference, and event centers shall provide one parking space for every 10 square meters of usable floor space or in accordance with the development plan and its approval order. Global economic pressures, including geographical tensions affecting energy prices, have significantly increased the cost of powering these facilities. Rising fuel prices have made generator usage more expensive, impacting profitability. Also, trends recorded include surging maintenance costs for facilities, including lighting and sound equipment. Some operators regularly experience faulty air conditioning systems, poor ventilation, and inadequate lighting, which hinders smooth service delivery. But operators justify price hike amid rising costs. An event center operator in Lagos, David Juku, said that the cost of diesel alone has increased by over 100%, forcing operators to adjust pricing. This, he said, is in addition to other costs of providing efficient services for clients, which have also doubled. He added that to sustain the business, operators have had to increase the cost of renting event spaces. He noted that the increase may not be significant for operators, given that many facilities rely on central air conditioning systems, which consume large amounts of electricity and diesel. Juku said that operators now focus on ensuring the clients have sustainable venues for weddings and other celebrations by offering a variety of options. On power supply, he noted that some operators are investing heavily in solar energy. Although still expensive, he said it helps to supplement the national grid to ensure uninterrupted service delivery, noting that no client wants an event disrupted by erratic power supply. Juko also appealed to the government to support operators with special funding schemes to help expand their businesses and enhance the sector's contribution to the national economy. Nigeria possesses the terrain, the climate, and a growing global market right on its doorstep. Yet, what the nation has lacked is a credible plan to capture any of it. While Nigeria has always grown coffee, there has been tragically little to show for it in recent years. Today, we look at the structural failures and the massive opportunity waiting in the highlands. The truth, according to reporter Bayo Olaoye, is simple. You cannot build a processing industry for a product that people do not consume in meaningful volumes. Currently, Nigerian coffee culture is nascent, accounting for just 2.3% of non-alcoholic drinks consumed domestically. This divergence is a problem, but it is also a $2 billion annual revenue opportunity. For decades, coffee farmers have faced inconsistent buyers, poor prices, and a near total lack of credit. Over 90% of small-scale farmers cite poor pricing as the reason they have reduced or abandoned production. In Ondo State, families are uprooting coffee trees planted by their grandparents, not because cocoa is more profitable, but because at least cocoa buyers are showing up. The statistics paint a grim picture of the current value chain. Only 5% of farmers are aware of the international export quality standards. 64% identify poor post-harvest processing as their primary source of loss. Labor accounts for 95% of farming costs, leaving zero margin for investment. In 2019, Kogi State farmers earned an average of just 66,291 naira per month. Nigeria's highland regions, Mambila, Obudu, and Jos, sit at altitudes between 1,600 and 2,000 meters. With volcanic soils and high rainfall, these are the exact conditions that specialty Arabica buyers spend millions searching for globally. The closest comparison is directly across the border. Nigeria's highlands are geographically adjacent with Cameroon's Western Highlands. Since launching Festi Coffee in 2012, local roasting in Cameroon jumped 8-fold in a single year. They built standards and a policy framework. Now, buyers are actively seeking them out. The deficit in Nigeria is institutional, not agricultural. The fastest path to revenue lies in post-harvest processing. Currently, farmers dry coffee berries with the full coat still on, which depresses quality and leads to rejection at European ports. Investing in wet processing mills can transform Nigerian beans from rejected goods into premium exports. There is hope on the horizon. The completion of the $1.5 billion Lekki Deep Sea Port and its rail network offers a structural shift. Positioning processing centers near these hubs can materially reduce the cost of reaching global buyers. Legislatively, the National Tea and Coffee Development Council bill are moving through the Senate. Additionally, the $950 million Africa Coffee Facility has been launched to boost high-quality African exports by 40%. The zero export status of 2024 is a flaw, not a permanent state. Investors who enter now are positioned to shape market standards rather than simply comply with them. Cameroon's success wasn't magic. It was sustained attention and deliberate investment. For Nigeria, the path forward is consistent work, applied to the right problems, in the right order.
Some people hear the sound of wood being cut and they think stress, dust, wahala. They say, I beg, who won't suffer with saw and hammer? To them, woodworking is messy, tiring, and just not worth the trouble. But others, they see something else. They see polished tables, handcrafted shelves, stylish stools. They see beauty, value, and serious money. Because yes, cutting wood may be tough, but the hustle can turn into pure profit. My name is Grace Komolafe. Welcome to Cash Craft, where we show you how every skills can become money-making ventures. Today, we are talking woodworking, from basic tools to beautiful designs, and how to turn timber into treasure. Now, let's cut into it. Step 1. Pick your project. Before you saw your first board, ask yourself, what do you want to build? Furniture, shelves, decorative wall panels, or maybe customized kitchen boards. Start small. A simple stool or bookshelf can teach you the basics and still fetch good money. Let's move to step 2. Tools, timber, and a plan. You don't need a massive workshop to start. Basic tools like a measuring tape, hand saw, drill, clamps, and sandpaper will do. Choose durable wood like teak, mahogany, or poplar for long-lasting products. And don't forget the blueprint. Sketch your project or download free woodworking plans online. A clear-cut list saves you time, wood, and costly mistakes. Let's move to step 3. Cut, build, finish. Measure twice, cut once. That's the golden rule. Then assemble carefully. Use wood glue and screws for strong joints. Once it's built, sand smooth and apply a finished varnished wax or paint to protect and beautify. That rustic table or wine rack, it just went from workshop to showroom. Let's move ahead. Step 4. Sell like a pro. Now the magic part is turning your craft into cash. Who is your customer? Young couples, urban decorators, cafe owners. They love custom, handmade, and unique. Use social media to showcase your work. Instagram, Pinterest, and all of that are gold mines for visibility. You can add pricing, yes, delivery info, and behind-the-scenes videos. Look, that's a great catch. You need to let people see your videos where you are doing your work uniquely. That's an addition and validation. Now, want more reach? Yes, attend fairs, pop-up shops, or sell via platforms that you know a whole lot of them are out there. Let's move to step 5. Stand out to scale. Offer engraving, custom-sized, or eco-friendly finishes. Don't just sell a table, sell a story. Yes, you can see the emphasis. Sell a story, handcrafted in Ibadan or upcycled from reclaimed wood. People pay more when the product means more. Network with interior decorators, real estate agents, and even planners. Your one shelf may become a hotel's full order. But of course, no business is all smooth wood. Power issues could happen, tool costs, and inconsistent wood supply can slow you down. Still, with skills, strategy, and smart marketing, woodworking can take you from small workshop to a big warehouse. So here is your takeaway. And don't forget to do your proper research, because this is only a heads up, a wake-up call that you can do it. Woodworking is not just craftsmanship, it's cashmanship. It's a business of creativity, precision, and pride. Whether you are making one stool a week or outfitting full apartments, this is a hustle that builds literally. This has been Cashcraft, and I am Grace Komolafe, reminding you that if life gives you timber, turn it into treasure. Until next time, build bold, build smart.
Eko Atlantic has become Nigeria's most sought-after city for its high-end infrastructure, prestige, and well-planned city layout, as reflected in an 8-lane boulevard, about 13 internal bridges, underground cables, and green footprints defined by over 30,000 trees. Additionally, having a building in the city has become a trend among the so-called big boys, as was the case with Old Ikoyi, Victoria Garden City, popularly called VGC, Osborne Foreshore, and now Banana Island. In this special report, Bayo Olaoye states that this talk of "I belong" and the prestige mentality has also spread to the big firms. Before now, Kingsway and Ozumba Mbadiwe used to say that Victoria Island were the go-to locations for high-rise office buildings. These locations are home to iconic developments such as Kingsway Towers, Heritage Palace, Fanfa Towers, the Wings and the Waves, among others, making them Nigeria's equivalent of Silicon Valley. The Eko Atlantic City was modeled after the skyscraper district of Manhattan Island in New York City. It has become the new destination for big-ticket corporate firms which are building or relocating their new headquarters to the 10-square-kilometer city, rising off the coast of the Atlantic Ocean in Lagos. The city is attracting investment interests in both residential and commercial real estate, the latest being MTN Nigeria, preparing to build a new headquarters. MTN is coming on the heels of First Bank, which recently turned the turf to build a 40-floor corporate head office, making the city's most iconic development so far. Prior to this courageous and ambitious entry into Eko City by MTN, First Bank, Dangote Group, and the Embassy of the United States of America have taken positions there, developing a new head office and a diplomatic facility respectively. Much earlier, a co-development company had occupied the city as the developer of the Azuri Towers, offering both residential and commercial facilities for high clients and corporate bodies. Arkaland Property Investment and Oak Homes are also in the city, developing A&A Towers simultaneously. These are the residential developments that will be standing on the 22nd floor and the 33rd floors respectively. Other developments are the Pan-African Towers by Periwinkle Residences, Eco Pearl with Champagne Tower and Eco Pearl Black Tower, Amni Towers and Arni International Petroleum Development Company, and Louisville Towers by Total Energy Staff Cooperative and Multipurpose Society. Louisville will comprise 300 residential homes spread between 2 towers, a world-class sporting center and a club, retail outlets and other facilities. It is designed to employ modern technology to achieve smart living and high standards. Eko Atlantic is an exclusive luxury city with superior infrastructure that appeals to the kind of investors we have seen in the city so far.
The world of business is one filled with men and women willing to dine with risk. And when we seek African business shapers, we see individuals who have denied self to build conglomerates. From controlling over 90% of diesel trade in Nigeria, to almost throwing in the towel, then getting on the Forbes list, we present Olufemi Peter Otedola. The Nigerian businessman and philanthropist was born in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State, on the 4th of November, 1962, into the family of late Sir Michael Otedola, the governor of Lagos State from 1992 to 1993. The University of Lagos Staff School, Akuka, welcomed Olufemi for his primary education and secondary education at Olivet Baptist High School, Oyo. Olufemi proceeded to Obafemi Awolowo University, Ife, for his first degree, graduated and joined the family printing press business, working hard and gaining experience. Femi Otedola ventured out starting Centreforce Limited. The company focused on finance, investment and trading. The oil and gas sector was Femi Otedola's next port of call. From quite a very humble beginning in the oil and gas sector, utilizing connections and networks of family and friends, he cultivated partnerships in diesel supply chain, him being the last man to the final consumer. Challenges breed opportunities, and in Femi's case, it was a late delivery of diesel from his supplier with a broken truck, and he caught the idea. He could do better and provide better services. He ventured into diesel supply business, buying diesel from a retailer and supplying to companies. Femi Otedola encountered several difficulties securing his supply and timely meeting the demands of his growing clients. This definitely was an opportunity he identified in the fuel retail market. Otedola secured the finance, and Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited was born, petroleum products marketing and distribution company. Otedola, owner and chairman of Zenon, in 2004 invested 15 billion naira in downstream infrastructure development and acquired storage depots at Ibadan, Apapa, as well as 4 cargo vessels, amounting to a combined total storage capacity of 147,000 metric tons. Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited also acquired a fleet of 100 DAF fuel tanker trucks. By 2005, Zenon controlled a major share of the Nigerian diesel market, supplying fuel to most of the major manufacturers in the country, including Dangote Group, Cadbury, Coca-Cola, Nigerian Breweries, MTN, Unilever, Nestle, and Guinness. Zenon Petroleum and Gas was the name on major invoices, and Femi Otedola the name on every lips, playing toe-to-toe with major multinationals. Zenon, in a very short period, silenced the competition and almost unilaterally determined the price of diesel in Nigeria. The competitors came to Zenon for supply. Femi Otedola, with the massive success Zenon Petroleum and Gas achieved, bought a 28.7% stake in African Petroleum. Otedola branched into the financial sector and aggressively stocked up the shares of leading financial houses. He became a top shareholder in Zenith Bank, United Bank for Africa, and the largest importer of diesel in Nigeria. He acquired major shares of Africa's Finance Corporation, Mobil Oil Nigeria Limited, Chevron Texaco, and Visa Phone. Otedola has his hands deep in real estate investments, including an acquisition in February 2007 by Zenon of Stalin House in Victoria Island, Lagos from the federal government. Lagos, London, Dubai, Monaco all have the signatures of FO Property Limited. He was appointed chairman of the Transcorp Hilton Hotel Abuja and tasked with driving its expansion and upgraded to a 7-star facility. Otedola has served as a member of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council since 2004, was appointed by President Goodluck Jonathan to Nigeria's National Economic and Management Team. Otedola is chief executive and president of the Seaforth Shipping Company Limited and was at one point Nigeria's largest ship owner after extending control over the distribution of diesel products. One of his ships, a flat-bottom bunker vessel with a storage capacity of 16,000 metric tons, was the first of its kind in Africa. In January 2006, Otedola was appointed a non-executive director of Transnational Corporation of Nigeria PLC, a multi-sectoral conglomerate established in 2004 by then President Olusegun Obasanjo to respond to market opportunities requiring heavy capital investment in Nigeria and across sub-Saharan Africa. He held this post until February 2011. Otedola was appointed chairman and chief executive of African Petroleum in 2007 through the acquisition of controlling stake in the business. Following Otedola's entry into the company, African Petroleum's share price rose sharply, increasing the market capitalization from 36 billion to 217 billion naira in 6 months. In March 2009, Otedola became the second Nigerian after Aliko Dangote to appear on the Forbes list of dollar-denominated billionaires with an estimated net worth of $1.2 billion. Otedola announced the move to upgrade African Petroleum's liquefied petroleum gas storage terminals in Lagos, Kano, and Port Harcourt in October 2009. Harsh economic conditions necessitated by the slump in the oil prices and credit squeeze of 2008-09 led African Petroleum to record a loss in 2009. With the world oil price crash came difficult moments for Zenon and Otedola. He was very close to complete bankruptcy.
I said to myself, I was not going to have friends and enemies. I was going to have only competitors. I had two options: commit suicide or weather the storm.
African Petroleum, rebranded in December 2010, changed its name to Fort Oil PLC. Otedola paid his near $1 billion debt and invested in the financial industry, making him a top shareholder in Zenith Bank and United Bank for Africa. Otedola restructured the business, focusing on technology and improved corporate governance. And in 2012, Fort Oil returned to profit. Otedola financed 57% of Fort Oil subsidiary, Amperion Limited, which acquired the 414 megawatt Girigu power plant for $232 million in 2013. Fort Oil improved financial position and diversification into power generation resulted in a 1,321% rise in its share price. The first half of 2014 saw the company's pre-tax profit more than double year on year to 4.1 billion naira. Revenue growth for the whole year was 33%. Fort Oil sold 70% of its equity to Swiss commodity trader Mercuria Energy Group in September 2015, giving Fort access to global commodity markets. The deal was thought to have given Otedola an estimated $200 million. In 2019, Femi Otedola sold Fort Oil PLC and announced plans to change focus from oil to power with his company, Girigu Power PLC. Girigu Power PLC became the first power generation company to list on Nigerian Stock Exchange, demonstrating to stakeholders in the sector how they can fix financing and make profits sustainably. The company's market capitalization is now 726.75 billion naira, and the share price now 290.7 naira from the 2.5 billion shares that were listed at 100 naira each. Otedola, the chairman of Girigu Power, sold down a Girigu stake to bring on institutional investors. In October 2021, Femi Otedola was announced as the single largest shareholder of First Bank PLC. FBN Holdings, the parent company of First Bank Limited, witnessed a commendable 437.9 billion naira surge in market capitalization. FBN Holdings appointed billionaire Femi Otedola as the new chairman of its board of directors, effective January 31st, 2024. Femi Otedola has had its share of controversies. Zenon was among the number of companies named in an alleged fuel subsidy scam report. This was followed by a case against Farouk Lawan for bribery. Otedola has also lost in the ever-evolving competing space of business acquisitions. Transcorp and Huheli Power Plant are two notable projects he closely bidded and lost. Femi Otedola philanthropy is quite remarkable. Otedola made a 300 million naira donation to the completion of the National Ecumenical Center in Abuja. In 2007, he gave 200 million to the State Security Trust Fund in a drive to reduce crime in Lagos. Donated 100 million naira to the Otedola College of Primary Education in Ekpe. In 2008, he donated 80 million to the Faculty of Agriculture at the University of Port Harcourt. Femi Otedola pledged and redeemed $25,000 to the Super Eagles in the match against Algeria in 2019 AFCON. He gave all 750 students of Augustine University 1 million naira each. Femi Otedola sits comfortably on the Forbes billionaires list of top 20 richest people in Africa. Femi Otedola is married to Mrs. Nana Otedola and have 4 children: Olawumi Christy Tolani, Florence Ifeoluwa, Elizabeth Temi, and Fewa Otedola. Olufemi Peter Otedola is a standout astute business executive.
Congratulations on the new channel, and I'm happy to be here. The Omniverse is imagined as a collaboration platform. So it's a platform that, as the name suggests, is bringing together ecosystems. So it's like an ecosystem of ecosystems, aggregating aggregators and community leaders who are able to bring together their communities together to a platform. So the summit in itself was, well, is a big event and a heavy lift for us and the team. And I have to thank our team of volunteers. We had a team of about 40 full-time core volunteers that delivered the Omniverse. So one of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event, and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. So we will be launching our digital platform. We have about 70 community partners already, including a number of government institutions. So to answer the question, there's public-private partnership within the Omniverse. There's regulators, there's government departments and agencies, there's ministries. But more importantly, there's diverse sectors across the economy coming together with the understanding that tech is the biggest enabler for development across all sectors, and that if we can drive collaboration, we can scale. So that's the ethos of the Omniverse. Collaboration is the superpower that we're trying to bring to the fore. That operating in silos has not paid us, but if we come together, understand that technology affects every sector, then we think the Omniverse is here to stay. Nigerian companies, Nigerian associations, global associations, and when I say associations, it's from things like the Nigerian digital artists who have 3,000 members, right, in the NFT community, the Visual Artists of Nigeria, the Society of Nigerian Art, the AfriLabs, which is the biggest innovation hub network on the continent in 54 African countries, ISN Hubs, which is our core partner, which is the biggest innovation network in Nigeria, innovation support network, with something like 189 hubs in 30 states in Nigeria. And these are primarily private sector-driven platforms, from aggregators who are major promoters of major platforms such as Lola Shone from Ake Book Festival, Choma Ode from AFRIF. We have a lot of these people who are either on our advisory board, they are co-chairs, or they are community partners, because what we're building is beyond any one person. It's about collaboration both at the top level, but through the line down to the bottom. The role of my council is, first of all, to be the primary sort of mandate is to infuse Nigerian arts and culture into everything the Nigerian government does, at state level, at federal level, and to input it into schools, education, and everywhere. So in that sense, to make arts and culture functional and front line everywhere. This will involve the foreign minister, making sure it's embedded in our foreign policy, in our embassies, in the government policy, in every sector. So we're literally going to be reaching out to collaborate to all government at all levels, all other agencies, MDAs, ministries, federal government and state government institutions, to see how we can find common ground, because obviously we don't necessarily have a lot of money, but I feel we represent the real crude oil of Nigeria, which is the IP that the Nigerian people create. That IP they create, even if you valued it at $100 per Nigerian, that'd be something like $20 billion. And I believe each Nigerian is worth more than $100. So my own estimation, it's limitless, right? So what we have to do is we have to rethink how we imagine ourselves, rethink our own possibilities, and therefore from there, take off by pushing that agenda. But it's not an agenda for me alone. It's actually an agenda for all of Nigeria. Because when we put it front and center, it means we're putting the Nigerians front and center. And we put the Nigerians front and center, I think we win. I think historically you will find that the federal government and the governments of Nigeria have not funded heavily these sectors. They funded the heavy industries, the military-industrial complex, heavy infrastructure. But the funny thing is, whilst Africans will say, oh, this is grammar, what are you people talking about in arts and culture? What you find is that the West, right, for 500 years has dominated the world. How have they dominated the world? Through narrative. Okay, but what do we complain about? Narrative. But we haven't invested in narrative. So if you don't invest in telling your own story and owning your own story, why are you complaining about how you're perceived? So I think it's counterintuitive, and it's about time And I'm very pleased and very happy that Nigeria now has a full ministry focused on this one specific issue. Because the truth of the matter is, we are older than time itself. We come before Christ. We come before the entire Western hegemony. We are actually the origins of everything, of innovation, of technology, of science, of education. But if we don't believe it ourselves and we don't express it, how can you expect anybody else to believe it? Well, I think the difference is that as a creative entrepreneur, there's really nothing to stop me, right? I can take all the risks. I don't have to worry about anything. I can decide, win or lose, we're doing this thing. But of course, as a public official, I have rules and regulations I have to go by. I have a boss. I report to people, and I have KPIs I have to deliver on. So there's a bit difference in that regard. There's a difference in bureaucracy, maybe a difference in response time, but there certainly will not be a difference in my personality. So I think it's really about how you perceive what these things are. For me, it's an elevation, obviously, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to serve at this level, to do something that I believe in, to do something which is that I believe in Nigeria. I believe in Nigerians. I know our ability. I think we are world class. I don't like all this, it's good for Nigeria. I hate that. So I think for me, that is what's important. And to have the opportunity to try to deliver on some of the things we've been trying to do from the private sector for the last 25, 30 years. So there's nothing new for me in that regard. But of course, the position is new. Being in the government is new. But with a lot of support from friends, family, professional colleagues, and other people in the industry, plus my co-DGs and the minister, hopefully we'll do well. We're under the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy, and that's very, very powerful because it means Nigeria itself has taken a decision to own the agenda. Hopefully I have a good time, have a good tenure, and I don't make any enemies. And well, for me, if you leave a place and the people that worked with you have good things to say, if they feel better about their work and about themselves, and if the brand that you're now leading is now appreciated by the people for what it does and how it brings it to the table, then I've done my job. I think Afrobeats has already established the fact that we are originally Nigerian. Some people say arrogantly Nigerian. And it was intentional. We built this thing, and it was intentional because we're not going to ever apologize for being Nigerian. We're not going to apologize for being black. We're not going to apologize for being African. And that's front of mind. Because, you know, when you do show business, you have to validate it. So we validated the show maybe at least 10 years ago. So now we're in the business phase. So when you see the exit of Maven Records with UMG, you see Iwaju coming, Comic Republic with Universal Studios, you begin to understand where we're building to. And when you think about where we're coming from, where there was no infrastructure, no funding, no support, and I think part of what we hope to do with government at this time is, because we come from the sector, we can collaborate with everybody in the sector. We don't have to talk at them, we talk with them, we build with them. And together, I think it's limitless. You know, Nigerians like to say the sky's your limit. I think it's limitless. There's no limit to the whole situation. One of the things I talk about all the time is what's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part. That's a lack of us delving into the richest thing we have, which is our mythology. Our mythology is endless. If you look at the Marvel universe and the DC Comics universe, the Orisha are basically the same thing as the X-Men. But the Orisha, some people are still afraid of them, whereas the X-Men are north of $100 billion in revenue. So I think we have to understand and reimagine our mythology, our history, our stories, and how to bring them to the world in new formats. It's not just film. It could be live action. It could be gaming. There's so many different ways to action these things. And when you do them and you do them right at the right level, as Iwaju is beginning to show you, our stories have always been world-class. Our characters are world-class. What we have not had is the resolve and the confidence to finish. But I think that is coming now. For me, I think it's still the fact there's more to do. My young brother, Miss Anne Harriman, is nominated at the Oscars, the first Nigerian nominated for a director for a short film. Because I know what that will do for the next generation of Nigerian directors, right? So for me, there's still more to do. There's so much more to do. When we see our first $100 million movie in the global box office, we need to celebrate it. When you win a Grammy, you need to celebrate it, because these are stages that we were locked out of. The technology and new media has allowed us to invade these spaces we were not even invited to. But now we're beginning to enter them and dominate. So even when you do that, you have to do it with grace and dignity, not with arrogance. And that's something that some of us have to learn. But the truth of the matter is, the greatness of the Nigerians is just beginning to come. And I feel strongly that this century, we're already in the African century, and the soft power that we hold here is what will define the future of the century. I think the most important thing, the first thing to think about is IP protection, because the minister is working strongly, intellectual property. The US, if you take the state of California, California is probably in the top 5 economies in the world, and 70% of the economy of California is driven by intellectual property, by 2 core industries, Silicon Valley, which is coming out of Stanford University, and Hollywood, which of course is the music and film industry. Now, that is for anybody that says, oh, what is this thing that they're talking about? We don't understand it, it's grammar. The grammar is the money, okay? The narrative is the money, the story is the money. So any of your children or your nieces or nephews that have talent, visual art, performing art, arts and crafts, adire, all of these things that we've been taking as vocation, they are occupations. They are extremely valuable. And with digital technology and platforms, we can scale these things and generate incredible revenue. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things. I think Nigerian cuisine is going to be on the level of Chinese and Indian cuisine worldwide in the next 10 years. And if you understand that, then you understand that the Indian restaurants in the UK, as far back as 2009, were generating more money than the UK automobile, shipping, and metal, steel industries combined. That's just restaurants on the high streets. So that is why we must invest and we must put our energy into this sector, because this sector will provide the jobs, provide the revenues, and provide the global dollars that everybody's looking for. Oh, I think it hasn't even started. The Maven Records deal is giving you an indication of that. The reason why that valuation of $150 to $200 million has been done is because of the upside potential of Rema, who's 23, and Arya Star, who's 20. So they're looking at the fact that in 10 years' time, these guys could have generated $1 billion each. Do you understand? So it's a safe bet when you already have a built global talent at 23, when it normally takes years and years and a lot of money to build the talent, right? So what has happened is that we Nigerians have been able to build global talents, global following, with a percentage of the money it takes people in other places to do the same thing. So because of that, the value and the valuation is much bigger, right? So I would say the Afrobeats wave, it's not even a wave. It's been going for 15 years already. So when you encounter it is when you encounter it. If you think it's an overnight success in 2024, that means you were not around in 2008. 2006, I'd say it's a good time to think, when the sort of continental, because we took Africa first, working very closely and collaboratively with South Africans, Ghanaians, and Kenyans. Then we started going into Asia and the UK and America on the black, what I call the Nigerian chitlin circuits, moving through the Nigerian communities. And then by about 2010, begin to come into the mainstream with Oliver Twist and all these kind of records that break globally. And now you have gold records from Oliver Twist in 14 countries. And now, in a situation now where an artist like Ashake can come out of Lagos, speaking a language that is not known to most of these people, and generating, selling out arenas. To become an arena artist, let me tell you, there are only 4 or 5 arena artists from Africa, and they're all Nigerian. Don't take it for granted. I think a lot of people feel that, but what I should tell the rest of the country is that the rest of the continent is also trying to get to Lagos as well, right? It's not just the rest of Nigeria. From Accra, from Luanda, from everywhere on this continent, they're trying to get into Lagos, because if they can break in Lagos, they can break anywhere else in the world. But what I would say is this, from the perspective of my agency, our purview is national and global. We have 10 regional offices. We'll be visiting all of them. And our duty is to spotlight and showcase everybody. So we can't deal with just Lagos. And I think as we go forward, people begin to see the activations and plans coming. But the easiest way to do it, and the way we're going to do our best to do it, is to provide digital platforms to give everybody the opportunity to be seen. Because in this world, we live in the attention economy. So to be seen And to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made. But I know for a fact there's significant talent in all parts of Nigeria. I was watching last week, a gentleman called Ehi Benite was showing me all this content from Jos with these guys rapping serious stuff. They're rapping in Hausa, they were doing ciphers. And then he was like, what do we do about these guys? I said, just keep pushing them, because there's an audience for everything. There's an audience for everything. Don't be worried about that. There's an audience for every single thing, including the thing that you may be doing in your bedroom, but you think is not important. Somebody's interested in it. My label was a hip-hop label. I even refused to sign singers. There's almost every singer you could name was trying to get us to sign them. And I used to do it based on, can you rap? If you can't drop a freestyle, don't bother, right? It was that simple. And we helped all the other singers get signed to labels that we thought could help them and develop them in that direction. Hip-hop has changed, and obviously it's generational, right? So hip-hop has changed, and everybody approaches music from their own generation. Like, oh, I like this kind of hip-hop or that kind of hip-hop. What I feel is that Afrobeats became overwhelming, and it overwhelmed every other genre here. So the hip-hop guys had to fight for relevance, but the best ones always rise to the top. That's just the simple truth. So I don't worry about that. And I've heard enough guys. I even saw there was a whole Instagram series some guy was doing about a year ago where he was just bringing out fresh rappers every day from Enugu, from Jos, from Kaduna, from Kano, from Benin. I love it. I think they're incredible MCs in Nigeria. A lot of times they need to focus on doing better songs, right? Not just being a freestyle rapper. If you want to get paid to rap, you've got to do better songs. You can't just do the freestyles. And that's something they've got to think about. You've got to balance the commercial side of it with the business side of it. And what has happened is, to a large extent, the commercial side has won because you've got to pay bills. But hip-hop, it never dies. I think, first of all, obviously from the perspective of I'm sitting in government, so I'm not in a position to tell government what to do or what not to do. But what I can say is this, is that the agency, my agency will be the home for the music industry, for performing arts, visual arts, fashion, gaming, recreation, festivals, culinary arts, film and television. We're kind of a convening agency for the ministry. So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of places to touch, but we're also going to collaborate with all the other MDAs in the ministry and heavily with the private sector and the developmental sector. Because to answer the question, I've worked in all these spaces for, it's not quite 40 years, but it's a long time. I've worked in all these spaces for a long time. In the institution, we have positive relationships to bring to the table to change the approach and to change the destination of where we hope to go. What I will say as well is that the reality of it is we're just beginning the journey. And there are no magic wands. I'm not going to wave a wand and everything's going to be fixed overnight, and neither is anybody else. But we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. And that's really important for me to say that, because people feel there are gatekeepers, but in my agency, there are no gatekeepers, right? We're not interested in whether you have the biggest reputation or the smallest reputation. We're interested in the value you're bringing to the table. Because the truth of the matter is Nigeria is massive. There's a lot of stuff going on in Nigeria. We're going to try to aggregate those things and bring them into one platform so that even as Nigerians, we can know what we're doing. Because to be honest, if you don't know and you don't follow, there's no way you can know 90% of what is happening, even in Lagos, before you talk about the rest of the 36 states in the FCT. So for me, from my perspective, the journey continues. The objective remains the same. We want to see Nigeria win, but in order to do it this time, I don't think government should ever be disinterested in the nature of the industries in which it is operating. But we also don't need to be owning the space. We want to enable, partner, collaborate, and see how we can push people to do more. Because there are already people doing a lot, and maybe they haven't been recognized, they haven't been brought out, they haven't been celebrated. All these kind of things we can help to do, help to get news stories and people to bring these things to the fore, right? Like I said today, a Nigerian who was nominated for an Oscar as a director, the first Nigerian. It's up tonight at the Oscars. It's not news in Nigeria. That's a problem. We have to be able to tell the stories that are of greatness of our people, because if you don't do that, you can't inspire anybody.
Mindset Media Achievers Gabro Limited. Mindset Media is all about celebrating people from nobody to somebody. We celebrate excellence, we celebrate innovation, we're also celebrating networking people from one part of the country to another. Oh yeah, the events about Global Mindset Media Achiever Excellence Awards, celebrating people with integrity. We celebrate our 13th anniversary at Lekki Noventa Hotel, Lagos, last Sunday. And I can tell you that this is the first time we are giving an award to non-Nigerians from Syria alone. They're based in US, and most of our awardees were from abroad. You know, this is the first time we did that, and this event was so fantastic that you know what boss said. It's beyond me because the crowd we were expecting 150 guests, but we had over 250 guests. The hall we wanted to use is not the hall we wanted to use, but God did it one way. We used the hall of 1.2 million naira where at least the 1,000 capacity could reach everybody, and everybody were so happy. The mindset I was about being inspired by God. I started from Ajegule to First SOUQ. Actually, we started from a church venue because we cannot afford a venue then. That was 2011. But consistency, determination, perseverance took us to where we are. We have been doing the program at First SOUQ. In 2001, I just made a prophetic statement that I'm taking this program out of First SOUQ to Lekki. One of the guests that came and one of the awardees told me, said, that November, he reminded me, December, said, what you said, you have to fulfill it. And last year we did it, but I can tell you this year was fantastic because I've received calls all over the world. People are telling me that this program is beyond. Even people are now beginning to nominate. As I'm telling you now, we have already have people nominating for the next award. So the program is all about networking. I did something again that day. Everybody in that program, like what Mindset Media, everybody's equal, whether you are rich, you are poor. We had our guests, and I told them publicly that everybody should network. Everybody should collect each person's number to network. Tell them your business. Even my team, I advertise them what you are doing for a living so that people can contact you. So Mindset Media is about connecting people, their businesses, anything they are doing, but they must be credible, they must have integrity, they must have professionalism. Yes, the individual that received the award, you know, from different categories. We have people from the business world, the technology. We have people from politics. We have, and the way we nominate the people, we have a style we're doing now, or nominating our people on website. And we have our website. We advertise your name if you are nominated. We throw it to the public. We started our nominations, that was June. Our nomination was open by June, so we started nominating people. The nomination came over 700 nominees, but we have to select them with my team to 31 because we discovered that we can't just give everybody an award. People were ready to pay, but we said we are not giving an award based on money. But because of the economic hardship, we have to say, okay, let them have a standard. We have gold table, we have a platinum table, where each of the awardees they sat down, and we did a lot of things to improve humanity in this award. Oh, this award this year, I'm very flabbergasted. Let me use that. I'm super excited because this year award was fantastic because when I met our boss here, the first day I came here, we discussed. I was super excited because this year award was fantastic. People are calling me all over the world because I have not seen that. I discovered the award has grown beyond me. As what boss said, it has grown beyond me because even my team, we couldn't even meet up, the people, the guests, and I was surprised. And we did so many things, what we have not done before, because in every year of our awards, every mistake we have done, we improve on it the next year. But this year we did something very fantastic. We brought things that world-class awards, Headies awards. We brought classic things into the system. He now made it look so, so great that people were saying, is it God or this? Somebody was asking, do I do ritual? We're asking, what happened? Even people saw the picture. People are still calling me from Sweden. People calling me from UK, telling me that, are you the one doing this award? You did an excellent job. What we did is that we have to go through a lot of people who are experienced, like Mr. Victor Oluwafemi, a lot of people who believes in my dream. I listen to their advice. I even listen to the advice of my team. And so as young as them, when they brought the ideas, I said, okay, let's work on it. And those ideas work for us. So, and at the end of the day, we did so many things. When you look at the economy and look at such an event put together. So if our people went home and they are thanking God today too. You see, it's a very big problem in Nigeria, searching for a good leader. The economic hardship is not helping matter. And today, for you to see young people driving leadership force is very difficult now, because they have made the system so very poor that you have to think about your stomach first before you talk about quality leadership. And this situation is that it just depends on youth like us who are determined, I resigned from my political appointment. I had a political appointment. I was supposed to be in Abuja with a senator who won the election. I was the chief press secretary. I have to resign because I discovered that my vision was so great. I don't want to sit down somewhere waiting for political salary and other stuff, killing my vision that I've built for 13 years. I have to resign to enter the streets, which I am. So to build leaders, it will take years, because first of all, let's look at how Nigeria was given. It was a foreigner that gave Nigeria this name, Florence Shaw. That means everything we are doing in Nigeria is foreign. We cannot live without foreign things. So you don't expect quality leadership at this moment, because we are not really electing the right leaders in the right positions. If, for example, the last elections, Nigerians came out and vote. If our votes are counted, Nigeria can decide that this is the person we want. If you make any mistake, we'll tell you, go out of the leadership. But it's not like that. So it will take some years, because the system has impoverished, have made many people poor. So when they see money, they can say anything. They can support anybody they like. But I'm praying that by God's grace in my generation and other generations coming, they should also look at how you as a youth must be self-employed. Self-employed means that you should, when you see something that is wrong, say it out. Even though somebody is paying you salary, tell the person this thing is wrong. So if we're able to have such leaders in place, Nigeria will have a better leadership, but it will take years. First of all, you must be educationally equipped. The level we are now, we're in the social media era. Social media can teach you good, bad, ugly, and so on. You can expose yourself to many training skills. The reason why our youth remain where we are not ready to learn. We know it all. We have a lot of youth. At this age, I've written over 14 books. And this time around, my books sold so much in this the program where people want to read. I was surprised that Nigerians are still reading, despite the hardship. So people want to read. People want to learn. People want new things. So I'm advising the youth now, try to be self-independent. Have integrity. Build yourself for tomorrow. Don't allow any political leader to take you unaware. So if we can build ourselves, I'm telling you, the future is bright for the youth.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
My name is Becky Elijah. I'm from UBA, so keep watching SOUQ News.
Hello, my name is Emmanuel. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Esther Ashimi, keep watching SOUQ News.
Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Helen Otongwa. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Opeyemi Temiyemi. I am an entertainer. I am representing Egypt, as you can see. So keep watching SOUQ News.
Hi, my name is Nenna Okavi. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Tom Aldo. Keep watching SOUQ News.
I'm Elizabeth from POS Services UBA. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Hi, my name is Kelechi Agu. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Well, I think as the name goes, we are still faring very well. We are still holding on. Basically, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited is a Nigerian company owned by the federal government of Nigeria, the 36 states, and the 774 local governments. The federal government has 47% shares in NDPHC, and the 36 states and federal capital territory, plus the 774 local governments own the remaining 53%. Originally, it was supposed to be a stopgap, build and sell power plants to increase the power availability. But in the process, as the company moved along, they discovered that if you build power plants, you also have to build complementary transmission networks. And then if you have transmission networks, you will also need the distribution network so that the power can ultimately get to the consumers. And so because of the gap that was in the sector at the time, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited was asked to build more power transmission networks, substations, injection substations. So over time, we had grown into the behemoth that we are today. Principally, we have 8 power plants functioning now, and then 2 are in the process of being completed. So that's what Niger Delta has been. But basically, I can say without any iota of contradiction that Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited has been able to increase the capacity, the network capacity, by about 50%, and of course the distribution capacity by about 60%. We are capable of producing up to 4,000 megawatts now, but there are still some constraints in the transmission network, which is being addressed by the various arms of government and the various stakeholders in the sector. If I want to talk about the problems in the power sector, you need more than an hour program. They are multifaceted. And each time solutions are being found, they are not far-reaching enough. For instance, before the enactment of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, it was thought that the problem was we didn't have enough generation power, and that's what gave rise to the NIPP, which is the National Integrated Power Projects, which was basically to increase the power availability in Nigeria. And there were gaps because at that time, I don't think the solution was holistic enough. I'm talking of during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. You remember the National Integrated Power Project was conceived at the time.
And it's strange that for the past many years, we are talking about 4,000 megawatts, 4,000. In reality, the available power in Nigeria is about 16,000 megawatts now, between 13,000 and 16,000 megawatts. So you wonder, why are we producing or generating or putting on the grid about 4,800 megawatts? So there's a gap. And the gap is basically the fact that the present network is aged. It's inadequate. There is fragmentation in the sector. You have, as of today, about 26 different bodies in the power sector. And it's a typical Nigerian problem. Once Nigeria identifies a problem, they create another agency to deal with that problem, rather than looking at the problem in the eye and say, oh, this is the problem. And I can give you so many examples. For instance, traffic, which is very basic to everybody. When after the Udoji Award in the early 70s, I think it was in the early 70s, and people had funds to purchase cars, traffic began to grow. Now, instead of taking a holistic attitude and train the police to do what they're supposed to do, expand the road networks, and begin to put a culture of driving properly in the country, we created the yellow fever, the traffic wardens at the time. You remember at the time, traffic warden was separated from the Nigerian police. That's right. And the problem was not solved because the people were still constrained to virtually the same network of roads, more cars on the same network of roads. And then we stopped training drivers. So Federal Road Safety Commission was formed. And of course, I'm sure that you all know that the problem became worse. And now all of the state governments are creating their own variants of the Federal Road Safety Code. An example is LASMA in Lagos. And the people are still on the same roads. You know, so whereas we had 200 cars on a stretch of road, now we have 1,000. Now we have drivers who cannot read traffic signs, which are not even there. So today, when people see traffic lights, either in Abuja or in Lagos, I mean, they don't even know what to do. I'm sure that, I can't remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. I cannot remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. You know, it's the same thing with the issue of corruption. When we detected, corruption was increasing, we started creating so many variants of, and I always ask the question, where is the equivalence of EFCC in the countries that we're trying to be like? So we have created EFCC, we have created ICPC, we have created Bureau for, what's that other agency? Sorry? No. Those are another problem entirely. The BP and the BPP, you know. I mean, I'm talking of Code of Conduct Bureau. But in all honesty, can we say that corruption has reduced in Nigeria? Can we say that? So the problem is that we don't look at problems in the face and deal with the issue rather than creating bodies and bodies and bodies and bodies. We don't have the variants of EFCC, ICPC, and Code of Conduct Bureau in the countries that we're trying to be like. In this age and times, honestly, you don't need, it's not rocket science. there is hardly anything you want to do that has not been done before or that is not being done in some other places. I mean, so you see in various sectors that once we identify a problem, rather than look the problem in the eye and providing solution to it, we create another body. It will appear to me that it is finding job for the boys, you know, and that is one of the reasons why we are where we are today. I cannot remember the last time anybody had to do driving tests to obtain a driver's license. I can't remember. In the US, if you want to obtain a driver's license, it's a long process. And I remember my daughter, when she went to the US at the age of 18, I remember when she wanted to go and obtain a driver's license, she called me and said, "Daddy, please pray for me." And I think the first time she went there, she didn't make it. It was one slight excuse, error. And eventually, she had to go back, to retake the test. So that's what I see that we're doing wrong. And that has virtually destroyed all the sectors. The power sector is faced with so many problems. I was trying to explain to you, for instance, that the discos have various coverage areas. And if you take them one by one, you will see that some of them are covering a landmass that is bigger than 2, 3, 4 African countries together. You know, somebody was on my secondary school classmates forum. Somebody was trying to do a comparison between Botswana and Nigeria. And I said, Botswana has 581,000 kilometers, square kilometers. But 70% of that is Kalahari Desert. So effectively, what they have is less than 100 and something thousand kilometers. Nigeria has a vast land. Botswana has a population of 2.5 or 2 point something million. You can't compare that to. There's no basis. There's no basis. And so if they have 1,000 naira, their GDP is likely to be higher than that of Nigeria. You know, Nigeria has 210 million people. Yes, officially. You know, you can see the population of Lagos. I'm sure that the population of Botswana is not as thick as Surulere alone. I'm not trying to give excuses for what we are in Nigeria or how we're doing things badly. But I'm saying that we have a giant problem. We have giant problems in all of the areas. And we need to put our heads together to provide solutions to these problems. You know, you can say that Nigeria is a country in progress. I know that we have enough human resources. We have enough intellectuals to find solutions to our problems. And I'm beginning to see that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is tackling the problems headlong. I don't want to say that they work in silos. I mean, it would not be absolutely correct. I don't want to say that. That would be too negative. I would like to say that there's need for better collaboration between all of them. And then one of the greatest things that we need to do is that there must be a coordinating agency that is not encumbered with or by bureaucratic procedures. Okay, NEC is supposed to be the regulator in the society. Now, like I said before, if you have a regulator, they must be trained. And we shouldn't be ashamed to train our regulators and to ensure that we have the right people in those positions. But like I said, almost all the agencies in Nigeria, you find a lawyer heading an engineering company. You know, I mean, it's not done. And what happens is that, I don't want to create a war between professions, but the truth of the matter is that if you are a lawyer and you have, you're doing legal consultancy in the sector, that doesn't make you to be chief executive of a purely engineering company. You know, the last time it was an accountant that was in charge of one of the parastatals in the sector, and you know, even now that there's a new government, you see all kinds of people trying to outdo each other here and there. TCN, for instance, is supposed to be in charge of the transmission networks. Okay. But you have the independent ISO under them. How is that going to work? I mean, that is supposed to be an independent, and it cannot be under TCN. You know. The discos, for instance, who is supervising them? NERC is supposed to supervise them. But you have on the board BPE, you know, that has 40% of the shares, and they're supposed to monitor them. Are they doing that? And then now the Yoruba people say, Amukun eru ewo, oni ewo saleni. That is, if a man is crippled or has bent knees and is carrying a load, it's not likely that the load will be straight because the legs are bent anyway. So that is the problem that we have. You know, the root cause, we are not attacking the root cause. You know, the electricity power sector reform has a transition program. But unfortunately, because we didn't do the privatization properly, we gave it to people who have no financial resources. They borrowed money from the banks to purchase the concession anyway. You know, because they borrowed money from the bank, they don't have enough funds to repair the aging facility that they inherited. So that is a problem. Now the bank is on them. The bank lent them money for 5 years, or you know, whereas this is a sector that is, I mean, you need long-term fund. You know, you need to have enough money to lay new cables, replace transformers. Some of these transformers have been there since 1960-something, to replace them. Look, where I come from in Ondo South Central District, we have not had power for up to 15 years now from the national grid. Everybody is an electricity generator company on his own. When we stepped into it to see what was happening, we discovered that the distribution company did not have enough money to repair the damaged distribution networks. So NDPC stepped into it, and we've spent almost 3 billion to repair all of that. Almost 3 billion. I mean, we're talking about 6 local governments. At a point, by the time we had finished the reticulation of the networks in 5 of the local governments, we discovered that there is the source of supply is from Ondo. Ondo has a 2 by 30 MVA substation. One of that substation is gone. So it means that the distance of almost 100 100 kilometers from Ondo to Ore and to Ilaje, to Igbokoda area, to Mahin and co and co. Just one single 33 kV line is coming from that. So by the time the light gets to Okitipupa, what you have is candlelight. It's the same thing we saw in Lafia, for instance. For years, Lafia, even the government house in Lafia, was being operated on generator because the single line feeding Lafia and the entire Nasarawa state is from Abuja. So that's why we stepped in and built the 330, 132, 33 kV substation, which was commissioned early last year by President Muhammadu Buhari. And you can see the joy in the faces of the people. Now, in Ondo South Central District, for instance, they are building the NDDC, not NDPHC, is building a 132 kV substation in Odeonije, which should help to bring power from Omotosho and to that area. But they have been on it for years now. And without the completion of that, there's nothing that can happen in the place. They will still have candlelight. So these are the problems. Now, NDDC is independent of NEC. It's virtually independent of the DISCO. It's independent of but they are doing a good work because they have offered to do, they have identified the problem and they have offered to do it. But who is coordinating these activities to ensure that everybody is working? And you know, one of the things I always complain about is that since this past 6-10 years, for instance, TCN has many of its projects are 85-90% completed. Some of the problems are just way-live that the government should collaborate with the state governments to resolve. But what do you have? A substation is ready in Akure, for instance. A 330 kV substation is ready in Akure. The transmission line is supposed to come from Oshogbo to Akure, and another transmission line is supposed to come from Benin and drop in Akure. Because of way-live issue along the route from Oshogbo to Akure, that project has been stalled for almost 6 years. So there has to be an organization that is above NEC, that is linked only to the president, that will look at all of these things. I talked about the fragmentation in the sector. You know, look, and let me tell you something. I know that electricity is a commercial venture. And when you put your money there, you should be able to recover your investment. However, it's also a social contract between the government and the people. It's a social contract. You know, so if you have such a transmission line, everybody should be involved. And I remember that it has to be a responsibility. I remember when we were doing a project in Owerri. And because the transformers have been there for a long time, we needed to remove the transformers to a workshop somewhere in Ikorodu there for repairs, so that when they take them back, it can function properly. And we had given authority to the